Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Jamaica's COVID-19 positivity rate continues. Interdicted, the latest on the policewoman who was among the congregants at Pathways International Kingdom. And later in sports, West Indies suffers yet another defeat in the ICC T20 World Cup. I'm Anthony Lugg. Here are the details. We begin with news this afternoon that Jamaica's COVID-19 positivity rate is now trending down. It now stands at 8.3%. The country's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Besesa McKenzie, made the disclosure a short while ago at a press briefing. Shamela Pullen is here to give us more information. Shamela?
Thanks, Anthony. The Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Besesa McKenzie, said on Monday that the country recorded 49 new COVID-19 cases and 1 death. Now, this brings the total number of cases to 88,480. The overall death toll is now 2,184. Dr. Besesa McKenzie said the country has not been below the 10% line in a while.
In terms of the number of cases, you will see from the blue lines that the numbers are going down. The pink line on the graph is showing our admissions, and again, these have been going down steadily.
And the Chief Medical Officer said of the 1,651 COVID-related deaths recorded since March 1 this year, 98% of those who died were not vaccinated.
Meaning they have received no dose, neither first nor second dose. We've had 1% of persons that have been partially vaccinated, actually less than 1%. Were partially vaccinated. That means they received one of a 2-dose vaccine. And then we had 1%, again it's really less than 1% of persons also that had received 2 doses and had passed. So these deaths are being investigated.
Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said vaccination numbers were now up to 899,344 doses administered.
Of that number, some 535,861 were first doses and 317,672 second doses. And for this Johnson & Johnson, 45,811, which is a single dose application.
Now, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is expected to announce new COVID-19 containment measures in the House of Representatives this afternoon. We will have more on that in Primetime News at 7. It's back to you, Anthony.
Thank you very much, Shamela. In the meantime, the Ministry of Health says 340 people are hospitalized with the virus. 22 patients are in critical condition, while 32 are severely ill. 183 people have recovered from the respiratory illness, pushing the overall recovery count to 56,944. There are 28,751 active cases on the island. Renewed calls this afternoon for the government to consider mixing and matching COVID-19 vaccines. But the Ministry of Health says it will make a decision on the matter soon.
Over 100,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine will expire in 6 days. Despite efforts by the government to ramp up its vaccination drive across the island, the take-up continues to be slow. Then, there are scores of people awaiting the second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. It's still unclear when the next shipment will arrive, which is why public health specialist Dr. Alverston Bailey continues to stress that the Ministry of Health considers mixing and matching vaccines.
This has been shown to be effective in Spain, in the UK, in Canada, and in Germany. Of interest, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel was the first head of state to receive a mix and match vaccine. Therefore, I'm recommending that all those who have received the Pfizer should be offered the AstraZeneca as soon as possible. We also can reduce the time frame for AstraZeneca's second dose from 8 weeks to 6 weeks.
The FDA last week approved mixing and matching vaccines. It also recommends booster shots for special groups. Dr. Bailey laments there is no risk involved based on the scientific data.
The studies done in Spain and UK have shown that when vaccines are mixed and matched, especially Pfizer and AstraZeneca, the immune response is significantly higher than when the two vaccines are used alone. The side effects are essentially quite similar. Therefore, there is really very little risk as far as efficacy and safety.
We again put the issue to Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton.
I've seen conversations taking place in different jurisdictions where it is being proposed, but there have been no sort of official approval of this from the organizations that we would normally consult with and take advice on these matters from. So it's still very tenuous. But however, I think we will comment when we owe it to the public to comment more decisively on it in very short order.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
To other news now, TVJ News has been informed that the policeman who was among the congregants of the Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries taken into custody more than a week ago has been interdicted. It's reported that the policewoman is now the subject of an investigation by the Police High Command. She was taken in police custody on October 18 when a police team stormed into the church after receiving reports that congregants were being killed as part of a ritual, as a religious ritual. 2 of the congregants died after their throats were slashed. 3 others were injured and were hospitalized. The leader of the church, Dr. Kevin Smith, died yesterday in a motor vehicle crash along the Linstead bypass while being transported in a police convoy from Montego Bay to Kingston to be charged. A policeman also died in the mishap. Meanwhile, a member of the Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries has been charged with murder in connection with the October 18 incident on the church compound. He has been identified as Andre Ruddock. And the family of Mr. Smith would be taking steps to hire an independent pathologist for his autopsy. That was revealed by the attorney who represented Mr. Smith, Valrenita Robertson. She was speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106.
I'm waiting on the family to tell me whether they wish to go ahead with that aspect of it to see what was the cause of death. Because you will notice there was no blood, one little speck on a very white, snow white marina. And I believe Constable Irons was sitting in the back. And there is damage to the 2 doors of the back, the rear of the car.
There's also mounting backlash against the security forces regarding the method that was used to transport Pastor Smith from St. James to Kingston yesterday.
Why wasn't he transported in the appropriate vehicle? You know, there are vehicles that have holding areas inside of the vehicle. They have grills, bars, etc., etc. They are padlocked, they are locked, but they are inside of a vehicle. Why wasn't he transported in the appropriate vehicle?
And it's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News and thanks for staying with us. Damian Crawford is this afternoon strongly dismissing accusations that the reemergence of flies in Rosen St. Mary is because of his chicken farm. O'Shane Masters has this update.
It's not us. The declaration this afternoon from the operators of a chicken farm owned by politician Damian Crawford. In a phone conversation with Mr. Crawford this morning, he told me that the accusations by the residents of Rosen that the flies are from his chicken farm are baseless. He says since the last outbreak earlier this month, numerous recommendations were made by the health team in the parish, which have subsequently been implemented. He also noted that there have been frequent visits to the farm by the health authorities. Now on Monday, some residents told TVJ News that the insects have become a nuisance to them.
Since Friday, we start having the flies again. I don't know what it is like for the people below me, but I get to understand still that they are having it just as before. Right now, yesterday, we had challenge here preparing meal because we have a number of flies coming in.
You can't even lie down in your bed, sometimes fly a pitch in your ears. You go down in there. You have to sleep and throw cover. In time so hot, you have to throw one towel over the ears. If you don't fly, go in there. Man, if you're talking, fly one go in your mouth.
My concern is you have children in the area, young babies. You have old people. And these flies will bring the diseases. You can't eat in peace. You can't drink anything in peace. They're down in it.
However, Mr. Crawford said that the health team has been on the farm since Friday, with the latest checks carried out on Monday. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Chief Public Health Inspector for the parish, Rupert Stephen, says based on an inspection carried out on Friday within the area, the flies may be from another property not owned or operated by Mr. Crawford.
On Friday when we went in the community, we noticed that there was one premises out of about 20 premises that we visited where there was an accumulation of flies. It was very interesting to find that that premises had some issues with managing waste. In fact, it seems like they had some occasion where a large amount of waste was generated and they were awaiting collection by the garbage truck for the waste.
And that premises that you're referring to is not belonging to Damon Crawford?
It was a separate premises.
An appeal this afternoon for the government to put greater focus on proper wastewater management in the island. It comes after yet another fish kill in St. Catherine, a problem which authorities say continues to devastate the fishing industry.
A fish kill in Dawkins Pond, Portmore, St. Catherine on Thursday, what residents call a yearly problem. But now, chairman of the Jamaica Fishermen's Cooperative Union, Sean Taylor, says it speaks to a bigger problem in the island.
We are troubled by the big industrial companies that from time to time and the lack of proper waste management in Jamaica that have continued to plague the fishing industry.
The cause of Thursday's fish kill is still not known. The National Environment and Planning Agency has collected samples of the contaminated water to get to the bottom of the problem. However, Mr. Taylor, who is also a member of the Environment and Climate Change Committee, says regardless of the cause, pollution has been wreaking havoc in the fishing industry for years without it being addressed and leading to a very high fish import bill.
We, as the ECC, the Environmental and Climate Change Committee, are very, very concerned because when you have a situation like this, it goes to show the very high magnitude of disrespect for the fishing industry, and regardless of where it comes from, we are not quite sure.
Local authorities had indicated that Portmore in particular has a long-standing sewage problem which needs to be addressed. Also in St. Catherine, there's been a yearly contamination of the Rio Cobre. Now, Mr. Taylor is making this appeal to the government, especially the Environment and Agriculture Ministers.
Pay close attention to all the businesses around the Kingston Wharf and the harbour to do a better analysis of their waste and to do a better waste management. And especially those gullies, about 16 gullies that run into Kingston Wharf, into the harbour there, that with a lot of waste. And these wastes continue to wreak havoc on the fishing industry and to destroy the humble living of the fishermen.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's O'Shane Masters.
Consumer confidence took a dramatic dip in the third quarter of the financial year. Speaking at this morning's release of the latest Consumer and Business Confidence Report, Head of Market Research Limited, Don Anderson, said consumer confidence fell by some 44 points, moving from 173 in the first quarter of 2020 to 129 in the third quarter of 2021. But for the quarter-to-quarter period, that decline was 20.8, moving from 149.8 in the second quarter. However, there was a marginal decrease in expectations for economic recovery by consumers.
Consumers felt that the economic climate had not changed significantly, down from 146 in the second quarter of 2021 to 142 in the third quarter of 2021. So the consumers looking at the economy are saying, well, It's not too bad. It looks like it will not change significantly, or it hasn't changed significantly. And we then want to look at what they expect to happen in the economy over the next quarter. They do not expect this to hold. And the calculated index of 124 from 151 is an indication that consumers expect the economy to get more difficult.
Facebook has posted better than expected earnings for the third quarter as it continues to face bad press over leaked internal documents. The social media giant made $9 billion profit in the 3 months to September, up from $7.8 billion last year. And
it's now time for the top regional and international stories. Here's Bashan Brown.
In the Bahamas, the outgoing political leader of the main opposition Free National Movement, Dr. Hubert Menis, has urged party members to forgive him for any mistakes he has made in the past. He says he will continue to assist the party in whatever role assigned to him. Menis, who has already announced that he will not be contesting the leadership of the party on November 27, said that while he's not perfect and will never be, he will continue to serve in the House of Assembly as the Member of Parliament for Killarney. On the international scene, major U.S. airlines are donating more than 20,000 tickets to Afghan evacuees. United, Delta, American, JetBlue, and Alaska Airlines are contributing flights. Boeing, Frontier Airlines, Air Canada, and the TripAdvisor are also helping. Combined with the 20,000 flights already contributed by the public and White House, most of the 53,000 Afghans currently living on 8 U.S. military bases should be able to get to their final destinations. Refugees who don't spend all their federal assistance on travel costs can use those funds to cover other expenses as they settle into their new communities. And those are the latest international and regional stories.
And we head now to a quick break. When we return, we'll have your midday sports report. Simon Preston is standing by.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. The West Indies suffered their second straight defeat at the ICC T20 World Cup after going down by 8 wickets to South Africa in Dubai earlier today. Batting first, the Caribbean side were restricted to 143 for 8 off their 20 overs, with Evan Lewis top scoring with 56. Kieran Pollard added a 26, while Chris Gale and Nicholas Pooran each added 12. Dwayne Pretorius took 3 for 17 for the Proteas. In reply, South Africa got to their target with 10 balls to spare, thanks to Aidan Markram, who ended unbeaten on 51. Rassie van der Dussen also chipped in with 43 not out. Akil Hussain took 1 for 27 for the Caribbean side. This was the West Indies' second straight loss of the tournament. The Caribbean side will next be in action on Friday against Bangladesh in Sharjah. Meanwhile, South African wicketkeeper Quinton de Kock made himself unavailable for South Africa's T20 World Cup match against the West Indies just an hour after their board told them to take the knee for the remainder of the tournament. Cricket South Africa, CSA, were forced to react after the team chose different methods to support the Black Lives Matter movement ahead of their 5-wicket defeat by Australia. Some of the Proteas side took the knee on Saturday in Abu Dhabi, while others stood on their feet and raised their fists. And finally, this afternoon, a veteran Jamaican Rugby Sevens player Conan Osborne is hopeful of being available to return from injury in time for the World Cup qualifiers next year. The 28-year-old dislocated his ankle and fractured the fibula bone in his leg at the the Rugby Sevens World Cup qualifiers in Vancouver, Canada last month. The 2017 and the 2019 RGR Rugby Sportsman of the Year is hoping to be back in time for the first quarter of next year.
So we've got RAN in Mexico, which is a huge one. That's a target for me. If I can achieve it in February, I don't know. That depends on how things go. Got a great team around me, Zach, the physio, and Stu, the S&C, and everybody's checking in regularly. So got the best team around me to make it happen.
Osborne says he also has added motivation to return ahead of a busy 22 of events, as he's close to 100 appearances for Jamaica.
The timing was unfortunate. I was on 98 games, so it was my 20th tournament, and I was already planning for Edmonton a celebration for the 100. Really exciting and really proud moment. I was going to be the first Jamaican sevens player in history to make 100 caps. That plan's been derailed a little bit, and that's also just a target for me to get back as soon as I can and reach that milestone, which I'm really excited about doing.
And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Anthony, it is over to you.
Thank you very much, Simon. And that's the Midday News. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.